Margaret Thatcher died, right? She died, and it was tough. It hurt me. It was tough for everybody to take, right? Margaret Thatcher.
Tough, yeah.
She's a champion for equal rights, feminists. She's a working man. She's the voice of the voiceless. Oh, wait a minute. She's the opposite of all that. And so I thought it would be interesting, and I know people who listen to the show regularly are going to think that I'm picking on Chris Matthews, because I am. And I did. Well, what happens is, like, when I'm putting together the show or I'm writing, I'll have on a news show in the background, and 8 times out of 10, it's MSNBC, but sometimes it's CNN, and very rarely it's Fox. But normally I'll have something on in the background, and that's why I hear. And Chris Matthews says the craziest stuff in the world. So here he is, by the way. So we're going to compare and contrast Chris Matthews and Chris Hayes, how they both handled Margaret Thatcher's passing. And here's what first they both did a preamble before they gave their, like, review of her life. And here's Chris Matthews' preamble.
Let me finish tonight with Margaret Thatcher. Let me repeat what I said on Morning Joe today when I first got word.
Okay, hang on, So here is Chris too tough on government Matthews, as he likes to call himself. Remember? I'm too tough on these guys. This is Chris too tough on government Matthews taking the passing of Margaret Thatcher as an opportunity to punch a hippie, and this time the hippie is Hollywood.
Let me finish tonight with Margaret Thatcher. Let me repeat what I said on Morning Joe today when I first got word of the former British Prime Minister's death. I don't like the way Hollywood makes movies about people they don't agree with politically. Ronald Reagan comes off as an amiable dunce. Margaret Thatcher gets a movie about her life that focuses on the dementia, which she suffered late in life. Let's do this right. If you disagree with someone politically, take on their strengths. Do what they did in that little British film, Brassed Off. Take your shots. Hit them where they're strongest and you disagree with them the most. Don't come off trying to be so compassionate, so balanced, when what you're really doing is finding a velvet glove to punch them one more time when they're dead and can't sue you. One of the best examples I've discovered in politics and in covering it is the best of people, the ones I admire, always there to say something good about the best of those on the other side. Reagan would always salute.
Yeah, you know what? Matthews, he's right about that. He knows how to salute people on the other side, since he was ready to put George Bush on Mount Rushmore for invading Iraq. Okay, he's got to look close to
Franklin Roosevelt. Clinton would always salute Reagan. It comes with the territory.
Yeah, Clinton would always salute Reagan, even while the Republicans were impeaching him.
What a good sport.
What a good sport. Oh, it's funny that Matthews.
And by the way, no one was more in favor of that impeachment than Chris Matthews.
And Chris Matthews, that's right. Okay, here we go.
No one was more vile towards Bill and Hillary Clinton, both.
Reagan would always salute Franklin Roosevelt. Clinton would always salute Reagan. It comes with the territory. You admit great leadership because that's what you yourself hope to achieve. So here goes.
Wow. So Matthews is right. Praising your adversaries does go with the territory if you're a career-hugging kiss-ass.
And was Reagan saluting FDR as he was flushing his policies down the toilet?
Yes.
And shitting on his legacy? Was he saluting him then?
Yeah, while he was undermining the New Deal and demonizing poors.
He hated Medicare, you know.
Yes,
Reagan.
and demonizing blacks as welfare queens. So here's the same news network. A journalist named Chris, different last name, and it's the same subject. But listen how different this sounds. Here's Chris Hayes.
Former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher died today at 87, and there is an understandable instinct to be charitable upon someone's death. The death of public figures is an incredibly important occasion to wrestle with their legacy, and the wrong message can be massively destructive. The perception of someone's legacy has consequences because it tends to establish what the consensus position is, what we've all collectively learned from the person's life. President Obama's statement read in part, "The world has lost one of the great champions of freedom and liberty. America has lost a true friend." As a grocer's daughter who rose to become Britain's first female prime minister, she stands as an example to our daughters that there is no glass ceiling that can't be shattered. Yet, according to a former advisor, Thatcher herself said, "The feminists hate me, don't they? And I don't blame them, for I hate feminism. It is poison." Now, if Thatcher was known for anything in her amazing career on the world stage, it was pulling no punches, and out of deference to that legacy, we should pull none ourselves.
Wow, so there's Chris Hayes, a little different preamble to his Margaret Thatcher review, a little bit different. He uses this as an opportunity to set the public record straight and to hold her feet to the same standards that she held others, right? Even in her death. This is what Chris Hardball calls a silk purse to punch her with. That's what he calls journalism. He calls journalism a silk purse to punch someone with. So the preambles are over. Now let's actually get to the summation. First, let's go to Mr. Suck Up to Power himself, Chris Matthews.
Here goes. I think Margaret Thatcher, the first woman to lead a great Western country in our times, is enormously worthy of respect and admiration. I think her great premiership, second only to Churchill's in modern times, stands as a great precursor of what a woman leader can bring to office. If and when Hillary Clinton seeks the presidency, the legacy of Thatcher will be a strong standard on which any woman, especially the recent Secretary of State, can run and win.
Okay, so there you go. Yes, she was the second only to Churchill, according to Chris Matthews, except Churchill fought against fascism, but Thatcher, not so much.
Yeah.
She kind of dug it.
Chris Matthews has compared George W. Bush to Churchill so many times during the Iraq War. Every time he made a State of the Union speech, Chris Matthews would say it was Churchillian in its eloquence.
Yes.
Of this great wartime president.
Well, that's our friend Chris Cop on the Beat Matthews. Once again, making sure that we don't mistake him for somebody with integrity.
Can I once again point out that Chris Matthews just doesn't understand his own metaphors?
Yes.
There is no such thing as a silk purse with which to punch somebody.
Okay.
That makes no sense. I think he's thinking velvet glove, perhaps.
Unless it's a Monty Python sketch.
Yeah. You make silk purses out of sow's ears. It's a whole different thing.
It's nice to see that Matthews' praise for the powerful cannot be bought because he gives it away for free. It's weird.
He's a slut. He's not even a whore.
That Margaret Thatcher's dead. Margaret Thatcher is dead, yet Chris Matthews still worried what she thinks about him.
He likes powerful dead people, too.
So now let's go to Chris Hayes. Now, here's somebody with dignity and integrity who feels like it's his job to actually provide a service to his viewers. And here's how he handled the passing. Ready? Here we go.
Here are just some of the hallmarks of Margaret Thatcher's 11-year tenure as Britain's prime minister. Thatcher initially opposed economic sanctions against South Africa's apartheid government. She referred to Nelson Mandela's African National Congress as a, quote, typical terrorist organization. When Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet was arrested for war crimes, including the widespread capture, torture, and murder of political dissidents, she called for his release, and he eventually served house arrest in London. On the domestic front, Thatcher's victory ushered in policies that lowered inflation but sent the unemployment rate past 10% for a grinding, miserable 5.5 years. As former London Mayor Kane Livingstone put it, she decided when she wrote off our manufacturing industry that she could live with 2 or 3 million unemployed. Even as the economy improved, it came with immediate and long-term costs. Child poverty rose, with nearly 1/3 of children living in poverty by the time she left office. Thatcher's tax policy shifted the burden from the wealthy to those at the bottom, reaching its most audacious peak with a 1990 poll tax, which was so severe on the poor to the benefit of the wealthy, there were widespread riots. It was replaced within a year after Thatcher's resignation. Recent documents show Thatcher was scheming to privatize the National Health Service, which is a beloved and popular institution that has provided universal health care for Brits, regardless of means or class, since the end of World War II, and may well be one of the great hallmarks of Western social democracy. But in the face of popular opposition, she retreated from plans to privatize the water industry and the National Health Service, replace college grants with a student loan program, cut back pensions, and revamp the Social Security system. Thatcher supported Section 28, which said local authorities shall not promote the teaching in any maintained school of the acceptability of homosexuality as a pretended family relationship. Thatcher is often talked about in conjunction with President Ronald Reagan, as the conservative fairy tale goes, because they both came into office during periods of malaise caused by leftist overreach. And they both absolutely eviscerated their left opposition and permanently altered the trajectory of politics in their countries. Thatcher once said, "There is no such thing as society. There are individual men and women, there are families, and no government can do anything except through people, and people must look to themselves first." Wow. David Hopper, General Secretary of the Durham Miners Association, who were resolutely crushed by Thatcher in a series of dramatic and at times violent strikes, said, "She destroyed our community, our villages, and our people. She absolutely hated working people, and I've got very bitter memories of what she did." We live now, still today, on the Reagan-Thatcher axis, their legacies reaching forward through the years. In their shared contempt for egalitarianism, they both bequeathed massive inequality. Today, decades after they left office, if you compare inequality across industrialized nations, England and the U.S. are at the top, also sharing the least amount of social mobility. This is the society that Thatcher and Reagan gave us. Societies of shrinking middle classes and tremendously high levels of inequality. And if you do not like that vision, then you have little occasion to celebrate Margaret Thatcher today.
Okay, well, that's all good and well, Chris, but try to say that when Chris Matthews is in the studio, and you're going to get a fat lip, you big shot. You whining little carping liberal in your mom's basement. Oh, except he's not in his mom's basement. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think she truly, Margaret Thatcher truly embodied traditional values because by increasing childhood poverty, she returned England to the time of Dickens.